Millionaire's heart was exposed when he discovered the touching truth behind a little girl's tears. Jack Morgan stood tall in his upscale Maplewood estate. Crisp autumn, leaves swirling around him in a vibrant dance of red and gold. To many, he was the embodiment of success, an elite billionaire with a portfolio that could make kings envious. His lavish lifestyle was a badge of honor, a testament to the American dream that he had fought hard to achieve. But that day, as he strolled out to admire his perfectly manicured lawn, he stumbled upon something that would shake his beliefs to the core. There, sitting forlornly on the sidewalk, was a little girl named Ella, no more than 6 years old. Tears streamed down her rosy cheeks, glistening like suns in the late afternoon light. Jack's heart twisted painfully in his chest as he knelt next to her. The small figure trembling before him ignited a flicker of concern he'd long buried beneath an empire of boards, meetings, and dollar signs. Ella huddled tightly with arms wrapped around her knees, full of sadness he couldn't begin to fathom. "Hey there, sweetheart. What's the matter?" he asked, his voice laced with concern. She sniffed, her big doe eyes shimmering with a mixture of hope and disappointment. "I lost my home. Daddy lost his job. Now we have to leave." Suddenly, a weight crashed upon Jack's chest. He felt the hollow ache of her words echo in the deepest parts of his conscience. The realization rushed in like a tidal wave. Ella wasn't he alone. Families all around his gated paradise were grappling silently with their own struggles, hidden behind picket fences and pastel paint. Jack studied Ella's small face, and the darkness of the community's plight unfolded before him in vivid detail. Every tear was another story of failure, loss, and heartbreak, an uncensored insight into a reality starkly different from his gilded life. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Determined to help, Jack offered support, financial assistance for Ella's family. He envisioned taking their burden off their shoulders with cash that could refill an empty fridge and cover overdue bills. But the community recoiled, their distrust palpable. They saw his wealth not as a solution, but as a weighty chain they didn't want wrapped around their necks. Angry protests arose at the town hall, lines drawn fiercely like a battlefield. Jack felt suffocated by their resentment, his intentions twisted into something sinister by those he aimed to help. Questions of trust, pride, and dignity loomed heavy in the air. Just as despair threatened to swallow him whole, a light flashed in Jack's mind. Perhaps, rather than throwing money into the fray, he should build connections, fostering real relationships. He envisioned gathering families in a local park for food drives and community meetings, hoping to create a ripple of change that spread outwards. The fiery feathers of doubt wrapped around Jack's heart loosened, just a little. Was he ready to roll up his sleeves, dig deep, and stand shoulder to shoulder with the town that had once seemed so foreign? As he looked around the room, he understood that his true stake lay in bonds forged through understanding and empathy. Then, just when it seemed that something meaningful might begin to form, words sparked, voices lifted, and emotions ignited anew. A burst of vulnerability flared. Resentment bubbled back to the surface. Jack's heart raced. How could he reclaim his integrity when faced with the truths of his privilege? What would it take for him to build a bridge across this chasm of disconnect? Hope hung thin against a storm of uncertainty, casting an immense shadow over the path ahead. Standing beneath the sprawling canopy of a maple tree, Jack took a moment to absorb the whirlwind of emotions swirling around him. The cacophony of voices filled the air, heavy with anger and hurt. Some were shouting for fairness, others demanding accountability. Jack closed his eyes, letting the sharp autumn breeze hold him in its embrace. What did they expect from him? A simple check to silence their cries? He knew money couldn't heal wounds formed by years of disappointment. Unease twisted within him. He turned back to Ella, who watched him with wide, fearful eyes. He felt an urge to protect her, to shield her from the storm of human emotions raging outside her innocence. "I'll help," He whispered, mostly to himself. But how? In a world obsessed with wealth, perhaps it was time to invest something more than dollars: time, heart, and trust. The next evening, Jack sat in his expansive office, scrolling through community feedback online. He was met with a tapestry of voices. Some believed he was trying to buy forgiveness, while others expressed glimmers of hope. He felt each comment. They struck chords within him, echoing like the heavy thud of a heartbeat. Let us start with a community gathering, he thought, brainstorming as he shuffled papers on his desk. A barbecue in the park. Just food, games, and laughter. In that simple vision, he could forge a real connection. If anything, it would allow families to see the man beyond the money. He picked up his phone, hesitating, heart racing. Could he really pull this off? Could he face the crowd that might not want to see his face at all? But suddenly, a sense of urgency washed over him. The children like Ellen needed to feel hope, to see that someone cared. Jack threw himself into planning. He enlisted local businesses to provide food, enlisted volunteers from his own company, and even reached out to small vendors in town. Each conversation started to unravel the walls he had felt wrapped around him. Ideas poured in. The more connections he made, the more he realized how little he had interacted with his neighbors. As the day of the barbecue approached, excitement buzzed in the air like static electricity. He set up games with bright banners, tables filled with food, and a corner for parents to share their stories. Ella, alongside other children, helped choose which games to include, her laughter trailing like a melody in the background. Jack watched, feeling lighter than he had in years. Then came the first guests, families trickling into the park, eyes darting between curiosity and skepticism. The tension hung thick, yet Jack greeted each person with warmth, offering them a plate, a smile, and a chance to talk. Gradually, laughter replaced the silence. Kids scampered around, and the aroma of grilled burgers filled the air, mingling beautifully with the hint of the falling leaves. Jack felt the shift. As conversation sparked, shields started to lower. There was an electricity, a new understanding brewing. But just when Jack began to feel the warmth of acceptance, he looked up and saw a familiar face in the crowd. It was Ella's father, his expression a blend of apprehension and resentment. Jack's heart sank. Would he welcome this gesture, or interpret it as charity cloaked in pity? Before he could confront the fear bubbling within, Ella tugged at his shirt, her eyes sparkling with joy. Look, Mr. Jack, we did it. They're smiling. They're having fun. The innocence in her voice tugged at Jack's heartstrings, a reminder of what truly mattered. But could this fleeting moment erase the shadows of suspicion lingering in the air? As he stood amidst the laughter, Jack realized this gathering was just the beginning. A path filled with challenges lay ahead, and trust was not something that could be earned in a day, especially when just outside the warmth of these newly formed bonds, storms were brewing between him and the community. How far was he willing to go to truly earn their faith? The question hung heavy in the air as the sun dipped below the horizon, leaving a chill in the fall night. Evidence that the journey had just begun. The warmth of the sun disappeared as night fell, and with it came an overwhelming chill that crept into Jack's bones. He felt his heart pound in his chest as he spotted Ella's father standing at the edge of the gathering, arms crossed, shadowed by the fading light. The man's brows were knitted tight, and Jack could almost feel the weight of the disappointment radiating from him. "Mr. Jack, can we go check out the games?" Ella chirped, her innocent enthusiasm cutting through the tension. Jack offered her a weak smile, but his gaze lingered on her father, who finally began to approach. "Ella, wait here a moment," Jack said gently, crouching to be at eye level with her. He couldn't ignore the flutter of anxiety twisting in his stomach as he prepared to face the man whose opinion felt like an immovable wall. Ella nodded, but her bright eyes flitted back to her dad. Jack straightened up just as Ella's father arrived. "It's something," the man said, his voice laced with a mixture of confusion and appreciation. "Did you really think throwing a barbecue would change anything?" "It's a start," Jack replied, trying to project confidence he didn't entirely feel. "If we want to mend what's been broken around here, it has to begin somewhere." The man's eyes flicked to Ella, who was spinning in circles, her laughter spilling into the cool air like bubbling water. "Okay, I see her enjoying herself. But don't think this will erase the years of pain and neglect. You think you can just put on a show, throw money, and act like it's fixed?" Jack met his gaze, pushing through the tension like a swimmer breaking the surface. I don't expect that. I just wanted people to see that I care, that I want to get to know this community. I can't undo the past, but I can help shape the future. They stood in silence, the laughter and chatter of the gathering drifting in and out like a buoy in the tide. For a moment, the father's expression softened, but then it hardened again. People will always see you as the man with the checkbook, and that's a heavy burden. Maybe, but it's one I'm willing to bear, Jack said, his voice steady. I didn't understand what my wealth meant until recently. I thought it could fix everything, but now I realize it can also create barriers. A flicker of surprise crossed the father's face, but it was quickly replaced by skepticism. Words mean nothing without action. Everyone's got problems. I've got a whole list of what needs fixing, but can you deliver? Can you really help? I can try, Jack replied, feeling the sincerity of the moment seep into his bones. I want to earn trust, not demand it. And it won't be easy, but if you give me a chance, I want to listen to everyone's stories. Maybe that will help. Ella returned, grabbing Jack's hand. Are you making a new friend, Mr. Jack? She asked, her face radiating hope. Yeah, something like that, Jack responded, looking into her innocent eyes. She had such pure belief in him, and her positivity felt like a layer of light cutting through the heaviness. Her father exhaled, his defenses softening in the tenderness of the moment. I'll think about it, he said. With each word, Jack felt a flicker of hope igniting. But just as he thought they'd stepped towards something meaningful, a commotion erupted behind him. A group of teenagers swarmed to the front, faces flushed with excitement and anger. There's no way this was actually paying us to play games. One shouted. What gives? Jack's heart dropped as the crowd turned to face him. The shadows of doubt crept back in, threatening to engulf the fragile beginnings of trust he had hoped to build. Would this gathering, despite all the laughter, unravel before his eyes? He took a deep breath, bracing himself for another challenge as Ella squeezed his hand tighter. How could he possibly face the oncoming storm, let alone weather it? He was about to find out. Jack's chest tightened as he scanned the group of teenagers, their energy shifting from excitement to hostility in the blink of an eye. One boy, his arms crossed defiantly, glared at Jack with a look that sent shivers down his spine. Why would you pay us to have fun? Why can't we just have fun like normal? He shouted. The murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd, and Jack felt the weight of their anger pressing down on him. Looking to Ella's father, Jack saw a mirrored concern in the man's face. This wasn't what he had envisioned when he planned the gathering. He took a deep breath, willing himself to stay calm, but his mind raced. How could he reach them? Taking a step forward, Jack raised his hands slightly, trying to calm the waves of frustration. I hear you, he said, his voice steady, though uncertainty gnawed at him. Trust me, that was never my intention. I thought by offering some activities, I could give everyone a chance to enjoy themselves, to bring us all together. By throwing money around, the boy shot back, arms still crossed, his posture taut with mistrust. No, not just money. It's about connection, Jack responded, holding the boy's gaze. I know I have a lot to prove. My intentions may not mean much now, but I really want to be part of this community. I want to listen to what you all have to say. Your voices matter. The boy scoffed, but just behind him, Jack noticed Ella tugging on the hem of her father's shirt, her bright eyes shimmering with worry. Jack could feel the tension crackling in the air, thick enough to cut. Look, Ella's father interjected, stepping forward. Mr. Jack really wants to understand. It doesn't hurt to give him a chance. We can't keep talking about change if we're not willing to take the first step. Silence followed his words as Jack observed the teenagers. For a moment, doubt flickered in their eyes, but the uncertainty wasn't enough to extinguish their anger. Do you think just because you threw a barbecue, we'll forget everything? A girl chimed in from the back. You think that's what we wanted? Jack swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the question. No, I understand that a barbecue doesn't change the real struggles you face. I want to be honest with you all. I want to learn what it means to be part of this community, what you truly need. From the corner of his eye, Jack noticed Ella stepping forward, her small frame standing out against the backdrop of taller figures. You can trust him, she proclaimed, her voice innocent and unwavering. The crowd's murmurs quieted into a stillness tinged with curiosity. He made us burgers, and we played games. That means he cares. Her heart, pure and unguarded, shone through. Jack felt the tug of emotion as he saw her enthusiasm spark a flicker of interest amongst the teenagers. Maybe we just want the freedom to have fun, she continued, glancing back at Jack, her hope shining through her wide eyes. I think we all need that. There was a shift. Jack sensed that the wall they'd built was beginning to crack. The boy who initially stood defiant peeked at his friends, his brows furrowing, as if trying to reconcile his own frustration with Ella's unwavering belief. I don't know, he muttered, still uncertain but softer. It's okay not to know, Jack said, feeling a rush of warmth from Ella's presence beside him. Maybe we can figure this out together. Tell me, what would make this better? I'm here, really. The crowd exchanged glances, their defenses lowering just a little, but then someone in the back yelled, yeah? Well, what about a real game? Not a carnival, a real game that matters. Jack felt the pressure rise again, knowing they were challenging him. The path to rebuilding trust was precarious, and the next steps felt daunting. Yet, he was finally at a point where he wanted so desperately to connect. What could the teenagers and the community share about their real struggles and hopes? He opened his mouth, ready to answer, but just then, the distant sound of sirens blaring disrupted the moment, drawing the attention of everyone around. What now? Hey! Voice emerged from the crowd, tension rising once more. Jack's heart raced again. How would he keep this fragile moment from unraveling? Ella clutched his hand tighter, and Jack knew, whatever storm was coming, he had to face it head-on. The sirens grew louder, an unsettling wail splitting through the buzzing atmosphere. Jack turned to scan the scene. As he did, he noticed the teens' faces twist in a mix of disbelief and anxiety. It was as if the world around them had shifted in an instant, a reminder that fun wasn't the only factor at play here. Stay here, Jack called out to Ella as he tightened his grip on her hand, guiding her gently to the side. The boy from before quickly stepped forward, his skepticism flickering as he asked, "What is happening?" Jack squinted past the gathering to see the flashing lights of police cars approaching the park entrance. Fear crept in, spreading among the teenagers like wildfire. Conversations escalated into chaos, and the defiance that once held them together melted into worry. We need to figure out what is going on, Ella's father declared, standing firm despite the confusion swirling around them. His voice had a rallying quality to it, an anchor amongst the storm. Jack nodded, resolving to step up. Let us stay calm. We're all in this together, he urged, trying to squeeze reassurance from the tension suffocating the air. We don't have to panic. Let me go see what is happening. Ella's grip loosened, and she looked up at Jack, her innocence stark against the backdrop of unfolding chaos. Be careful, she whispered, the sincerity in her voice cutting through the noise. It struck Jack how much that little girl had already shown him about the type of connection he desperately sought. He took a deep breath, the metallic scent of anxiety heavy in the air as he made his way to where the commotion was centered. As he approached the police cars, he could see uniformed officers speaking to a group of people down the path, flush with apprehension. What is going on? Jack called out, trying to project calm into the whirlwind surrounding him. One officer turned and approached, his expression both stern and sympathetic. Just a minor incident. We got reports of some trouble nearby, but it looks like we're handling it. The officer glanced back toward the crowd of teenagers. You might want to keep the group together and make sure they're safe. Jack nodded, returning to the main cluster where Ella's father was directing the teens to sit down and focus on staying together. It's all right, he shouted. Just a precaution. Is it dangerous? Someone called out, a mix of fear and curiosity simmering in their voice. Jack felt all eyes on him, waiting for reassurance. No, just a misunderstanding, Jack replied, not entirely sure he was telling the whole truth. But he wouldn't let them see his uncertainty. He turned back to the teens, knowing this was the moment to rise above. What you said earlier really stuck with me, Jack began, voice clear as he shifted his stance. You wanted a real game, something that matters. Let us make this community our game. Be a part of it. You want freedom? Let us figure it out together. Let us make that fun worthwhile. But first, we need to make sure we're safe. As he spoke, he could see the hesitance in their eyes slowly begin to shift back toward curiosity. They wanted something deeper, a bond formed where trust and understanding could flourish. Just then, the sirens began to fade, and a breath of relief washed over them. But a girl suddenly shouted from the back, "Why should we trust you after all this? Just because you want to play?" Jack's heart sank, the weight of those words pressing heavily upon him. He wanted to scream, to show them his heart and all the good he wished to share. But instead, he took a deep breath and met her gaze, asking himself what kind of truth could break through the barriers they had built up. "What if we create something that matters to you all?" he said earnestly. "Something that makes this place yours? Let us talk about it. Not just now, but for as long as you need." The murmurs returned, but this time they were softer, more thoughtful. Jack felt a flicker of hope spark within him, yet doubt lingered in the back of his mind. Ella's father stepped forward again, his voice steady. "Hey, let us get this figured out together. We'll face whatever comes next as a team. That's what a community does." As Jack scanned the crowd, he saw uncertain eyes wavering. But one face, one voice carried just above the rest, a question that could change everything. "What if we show you what we really need?" Jack's heart raced as he realized the door to real connection might swing open at last. But could he handle the truth that lay waiting on the other side? The atmosphere shifted again, as if the ground felt unsteady beneath their feet. There was a weight to that simple question, echoing through Jack's mind. What did they really need? Ella stood nearby, her big eyes flickering between Jack and the girl who had spoken. He could see that she was still scared, but was holding on to her father's protective presence. His heart twisted under the pressure of it all. "All right, let us talk," Jack said, trying to draw the attention back to him. "What do you want? What does this community mean to you?" He stepped closer, giving them space, yet reaching out, his arms half open like an embrace. At first, silence settled in, a stillness punctuated only by the distant hum of the last remaining police sirens fading into the background. But then soft voices began to rise, apprehensive yet eager. "We want to be heard," someone said. "We want places to hang out, to feel safe, more activities." Another joined in, emboldened by the first voice. "It always feels like there's nothing to do after school. We want to make something happen, but it feels like no one cares." Their words unraveled, weaving into a tapestry of frustrations both simple and profound. Jack listened, soaking it all in. Hope began to unfurl in his chest as he realized that beneath their fears lay dreams and aspirations. "We care," Ella's father exclaimed, voice rising above the others, full of conviction. "That's exactly why we're here. We want to hear you. We want to help." The fire inside Jack ignited at those words. "Let us plan a way to express that," he suggested, excitement bubbling in his voice. "We can set up meetings, bring in some ideas, activities you'd want to see." Ella, emboldened by her father's spirit, chimed in with determination. "We can start a project, something for the entire park, like cleanups or even art installations. It could be ours." Her smile broke through the earlier tension, brightening the atmosphere like sunshine after a storm. The crowd began to murmur again, questions and ideas springing up amongst them like fresh blooms in spring. Each suggestion sent energy coursing through the group, bringing Jack into sharper focus. He felt like he was no longer an outsider. In that moment, he was part of something alive. Yet, as the excitement built, a hesitant voice cut through the noise. "What if we fail?" It was the same girl from before, her fear still evident. Jack stepped forward again, his chest rising with every breath he took. "You know what? Failure is part of it," he confessed, sincerity gripping his words. "Life never goes as planned. But if we're together, we can support each other, learn together, fail together, and try again." With that, he could see the glimmer of understanding radiate through the group. They craved not just action, but connection, community. Ella turned to look at Jack, eyes sparkling with excitement. She whispered, "Can we really do this?" Jack nodded, a fierce smile breaking across his face. "We can, and we will." But just then, a loud thud cut through their collective enthusiasm, drawing their attention to the edge of the park where shadows loomed ominously. Panic swept through the group again as they realized they weren't truly alone. The world outside their little gathering came rushing back in reminding them of their vulnerability. "Stay close," Jack urged, instinctively stepping protectively in front of Ella and her father. The park that moments ago felt like a renewed place now teemed with uncertainty. What had they unwittingly awakened? The weight of the unknown settled in as they all turned toward the noise, hearts pounding. What awaits them as they face this new threat? As the unsettling thud echoed in the air, a shiver ran through Jack. He squinted into the shadows, trying to see what had caused the disturbance. Around him, the energy shifted dramatically. Excitement faded, replaced by palpable fear. He could hear whispered concerns, quick glances exchanged, and the subtle tightening of hands on shoulders as the community huddled closer. "Ella, stay behind me," he said, his voice a mixture of calm and urgency. She clutched her father's hand tighter, her breath coming in quick little gasps. Jack could sense that her imagination was racing, conjuring up all sorts of terrifying possibilities. He needed to reassure her. "Everyone, breathe," Jack called to the crowd, forcing himself to stay steady. "Let us not jump to conclusions. We'll figure this out together." But as he spoke, the shadows lurked closer, and the thud grew louder. A low groan followed the sound, and Jack's heart sank. Was it an animal? Or worse, a person? His instincts kicked in. He couldn't let any of them face whatever lay beyond the edge of the park alone. Then, just as a figure emerged, the group gasped in unison. From the shadows stepped a boy, tall and lanky, looking about as terrified as they were. His clothes were torn, mud-streaked, and there were streaks of dried tears on his cheeks. He looked ragged, as if he had just sprinted for his life. "Help!" he cried, voice wavering with desperation. "You have to help her. She's hurt." Panic spiked through the crowd. People instinctively drew back, glancing around nervously. Jack's protective instincts surged. "Who?" he called, stepping forward. "Who's hurt?" "Lily. She fell. There's blood. I can't carry her," the boy said, his breaths shortening as the weight of fear pressed on him. Jack exchanged fearful glances with Ella's dad. They both understood a moment of urgency had arrived. "Show us," Jack shouted, wiping a bead of sweat from his forehead. "Let us." The boy nodded and tore off in the direction he came from, glancing back to ensure the group followed. Jack and Ella's father rushed forward, gathering a few volunteers from the crowd. Jack felt Ella's hand slip from his grip, but he could see the determination on her face. She was ready, even despite her fear. "Ella," he called, turning quickly, but she had already made up her mind. Running after the boy, her small frame barely keeping pace. She looked back, eyes pleading but fierce. "I can help." In that split second, something shifted in Jack. He felt the weight of her bravery pour into his chest like a surge of fire. If Ella believed they could help, then he had to believe it too. They moved as one, a group of hesitant heroes driven by fear and hope. As they dashed through the park, thick brush snagging at their clothes, Jack's mind raced. What had they stumbled into? With every step, the stakes felt higher. Would they be able to save this Lily? What had happened to her? The unknown twisted in his gut, but in that uncertainty lay a spark of purpose. Finally, they reached a clearing. Jack skidded to a halt, taking in the scene. There on the ground, a little girl lay pale and still, a stream of crimson seeping into the grass. Panic took hold yet again. Jack felt his breath hitch in his throat. "Ella, stay back," he shouted, but the girl in front of him had already taken charge. Jack had never felt more helpless. As chaos swirled around them, one thought blared in his mind: what if he was too late? But as Ella knelt down, her hands trembling, there was a flicker of hope in the air. Would her bravery be enough? The moment felt like both an ending and a beginning. As they faced the girl's stillness, hearts racing in unison, Jack realized they were about to find out just what they were capable of. But the question lingered. Would it be enough to confront both the fear and the urgency of the situation at hand? Ella knelt by Lily, her tiny hands hovering uncertainly over the girl's still form. Jack felt a buzzer go off in his brain, warning him this wasn't the time for hesitation. He stepped forward, forcing the panic to fade. "Ella, we need to check for a pulse. Keep talking to her. Stay focused, okay?" Ella nodded, her voice steadying as she gently placed her fingers on Lily's throat, searching. "Come on, Lily. You can do this. Just stay with us," she urged, her small voice filled with determination. Jack's heart beat like a drum. He scanned the surroundings, looking for anything that could help. "We need to find something to stop the bleeding," he called out, glancing back at the few people who had dared to come closer. "We need bandages, clean cloth, anything." A woman from the crowd, who had stepped up hesitantly, replied breathlessly, "I have some gauze in my car. I'll be right back." She darted off, leaving behind a quiet rustle of urgency. In the chaos, Jack turned his focus back to Ella and Lily. "Ella, is she breathing?" Jack asked, heart in his throat. He watched her intently, eyes wide, waiting for her response. "No, I don't think so," she whispered, her voice quivering slightly. The world around them locked into stillness. Time felt like it hung in the air. Jack's blood ran cold. "Stay with her, Ella. What does she look like? What is her favorite color?" Jack urged, searching for anything to anchor the little girl in this moment. Ella took a deep breath and squeezed Lily's hand gently. "Lily, I remember your purple dress. You love purple," Ella said, her voice growing firmer. "You told me that it makes you feel like a princess." Jack watched in awe as Ella clasped Lily's hand tighter. He couldn't help but feel inspired by her unwavering courage. "That's right. You're a princess, Lily. Come back to us," he shouted, voice cracking. The shadows loomed longer, and in the thick of fear, a fragile truth surfaced. This wasn't just some random girl. She was someone's daughter, a friend, a sister. They had to save her. Ella was right. They could not give up. "Look!" Ella exclaimed, interrupting Jack's spiraling thoughts. Her pulse. I think I felt it. Just a little relief mixed with disbelief washed over Jack, but time was short. They had to take action. He nodded, feeling a shift inside him. "We need to keep her awake. Keep talking." "Okay. Lily, remember the books we read together about the stars? You love the stars." Ella babbled, her eyes sparkling with worry. "You told me you wanted to be an astronaut one day. You promised me you would take me with you." "That's right. You're not done dreaming yet." Jack chipped in, feeling the warmth of hope flicker. Moments stretched into an eternity as they held on to Lily, the weight of their urgency pressing down. When the woman returned with the gauze, Jack rushed to her, grateful. "We need to make a tourniquet. Can you help me?" Together, they wrapped the cloth tightly upwards along Lily's leg, watching in silence as Ella continued to murmur stories of stars and adventures, never allowing the little girl to slip away from their grasp. Every moment mattered. Then, somewhere in the chaos, Lily stirred. Her eyelids fluttered, and Jack's breath caught. "Lily, stay with us." But as her eyes cracked open, Jack saw something that chilled him. Lily's gaze drifted away from them, confusion clouding her face. Ella's excitement faltered as she watched Lily's eyes flicker. "Lily, can you hear me?" Ella's voice was quiet, trembling, uncertainty seeping back into their brave facade. Would they be enough to pull her back into the world when darkness threatened to swallow her? As they held their breath, a question loomed heavy. They might just be giving Lily strength, but would it be enough? Lily blinked a few times, her confusion mingling with lingering shadows in her eyes. For just a heartbeat, Jack thought they had lost her again. Ella leaned in closer, her small frame vibrating with urgency and fear. "Lily, can you hear me?" Ella pressed, her voice a gentle tremor. "It's me, Ella. Remember? We were reading about the stars." Lily's face twisted slightly, then her gaze slowly shifted toward Ella. "Ella?" she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, that's right." Jack cheered, his own heart racing with a mix of hope and fear. "You're so brave, Lily. Keep talking to us. Can you tell us what you see?" She squirmed on the ground, her hand weakly grasping at the grass. "I see the sky, it's so big." "Yes, the sky," Ella urged. "What color is it?" "Blue and white." Lily's voice came out in fragile tones, like a bird testing its wings for the first time. Jack felt something inside him ignite. This flicker of life was their chance. "Exactly. The blue sky, like the one you always wanted to fly through," he said, trying to reinforce the connection. "You're going to be an astronaut, remember? You have to get back up there, just like you promised, Ella." But just then, a wave of darkness clouded Lily's gaze again. It was as if she were caught between two worlds. The gauze wrapped tightly around her leg was now stained, a stark reminder of the urgency of their situation. "Ella, sing to her," Jack said, desperate for something to bridge the gap between Lily and consciousness. "Sing her that song you love." Ella's eyes widened in surprise, but she didn't hesitate. Her small voice broke the tension, soft and sure. "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are," she sang, her clear notes ringing out like bells. Lily's expression shifted, as if Ella's melody lit a spark within her. Jack leaned closer, feeling the magic of that simple song pulling Lily back toward them. He held his breath, willing her to engage, to fight. Up above the world so high, Ella continued, her voice unwavering, brightening the moment with innocence and hope. Jack couldn't take his eyes off Lily's face. A flicker of recognition began to blossom in her eyes. "Ella, I want to fly," Lily stammered, her voice gaining strength. "Yes, you're going to fly. You just have to keep holding on," Jack shouted, feeling a mix of triumph and desperation as he saw a faint smile tug at the corners of Lily's mouth. They felt the tension shift. The woman who had brought the gauze returned with more supplies, a thick roll of clean bandages and antiseptic. Jack grabbed them, shaking off the heavy weight of despair that had gripped him moments before. "Thank you," Jack said earnestly, working deftly to secure the bandages, mindful of every movement, hoping that the touch of warmth and care would send strength back to Lily. "We're going to get you up, okay?" Lily's breathing steadied as Ella's voice still danced around them, shimmering with affection. Jack glanced at the crowd that had gathered. People were stranded in disbelief, whispers circulating like an electric current through the air. "Someone call an ambulance," he shouted, realizing the urgency was growing beyond their own capabilities. But at that moment, something shifted in his own heart. He felt connected to everyone watching, bound by a desire to protect their own. "Stay with us, Lily," Jack insisted, his own determination solidifying. "Jack," Ella, Lily murmured, her voice now stronger. "Don't leave. We won tea," Ella replied fiercely, their hands still entwined. "Not ever." But just as the heartwarming moment glimmered with hope, another shadow loomed on the horizon. A siren echoed in the distance, a reminder that help was coming, but so was more uncertainty. As Jack steadied his resolve, questions rushed through his mind. What would happen when Lily reached the hospital? Would she be safe? But the most pressing thought lingered: what if they weren't enough to save her after all? The siren grew louder, and Jack could feel the air buzzing with tension, every second stretching unbearably thin. Would the ambulance be there in time to pull her back from the edge? In the quiet tension of the moment, with sirens wailing in the background and the weight of uncertainty hanging like a thick fog, Jack's heart raced. Ella's small hand in his felt like an anchor. As Lily's eyes flickered between the darkness and the light of consciousness, Jack realized the most crucial battles were not just fought outside, but within the hearts of everyone present. Jack leaned closer, meeting Lily's gaze. "You have so much to fight for, Lily. You're a fighter, just like Ella said." His voice was steady, filled with a conviction he wasn't entirely sure he felt. But looking into those hopeful eyes reminded him of the little girl who had started this journey for him. The innocence of Ella's belief rekindled a fire in his chest he thought extinguished. "Jack, sing with me." Ella's voice echoed with determination. "Twinkle, twinkle, little star." And so, they sang together, their voices harmonizing in the cool night air, weaving a simple thread of connection between them. Lily's strength ebbed and flowed as the melody wrapped around her like a warm blanket. For every note sung, Jack felt the shadows of doubt begin to lift. The crowd, initially hesitant, leaned in closer, drawn by that shared hope. Strangers prayed with one another in hushed tones, clasping hands and exchanging glances that spoke volumes. Just then, amidst the chorus of voices, a flash of red and blue lights illuminated the clearing. The ambulance had arrived, sirens piercing the night like a beacon of hope. Jack's relief flooded through him like a warm wave. But more importantly, he felt the shift in the air, the shared commitment to care for one another, to be part of something larger than any single individual. "Stay with her," Jack directed the paramedics who rushed toward them, urgency pulsating through the air. One nodded and began assessing Lily with practiced movements while the others took over the scene, introducing equipment and expertise to help the helpless. Jack stepped back slightly, watching Ella stay by Lily's side, her small hand still tightly gripping her friend's. He observed as the paramedic assured both children, their comforting words battling the pain and fear swirling in the air. Jack felt a swell of pride for Ella. Her heart was available, fearless, and strong. She was doing the very thing he'd been trying to accomplish, connecting. As the medics prepared Lily for transfer, Jack turned to the crowd. "Thank you for being here," he called, voice heightened by emotion. "You all cared enough to step forward. This community, our community, has so much potential." Ella's father, who had been watching quietly, stepped up. "You see, we can do this together," he added, the tone of authority filled with connectedness. Lily's fight isn't just hers, It's ours. We've built something here, a team. The crowd murmured in agreement, and Jack felt tears prick the corners of his eyes. The walls they had fought to ascend, the fears that had shadowed their thoughts, they were peeling away, layer by layer. In their shared vulnerability, they discovered light. As Lily was wheeled away, Ella leaned closer, whispering, "You're going to be okay, Lily. We'll see you soon. We'll be waiting." Jack couldn't help but marvel at Ella's spirit, something that shook him deep down. She was right. Whatever came next didn't just belong to Lily, it belonged to everyone pushing to keep the flame alive. With the ambulance doors closing, a hum of concern swept through the crowd. Jack turned to see their faces, some etched with worry, others with a blossoming hope. He felt that spark, a connection stronger than before, as unexpected companionship was born from the night's chaos. "Let us keep this going," Jack said, raising his voice. "We'll create a plan together. For Lily, for each and every one of you. Let us put energy toward coming together, finding our voices, making sure this community works together." Cheers erupted, and laughter followed like rays of sunlight breaking through a lingering storm. The journey had begun with Ella's tears, and now it was ignited by laughter and resilience. Jack felt a remarkable transformation within him. No longer a figure behind a wall of wealth, but truly a part of something bigger, a family, a community. He felt his heart expand, a feeling of belonging threading through his spirit. As Jack looked at Ella, who beamed with pride, shimmering joy reached his eyes. This wasn't just about healing one little girl. It was about healing an entire community. "Let us keep pushing forward," he encouraged, his voice resonating with resolve. "Together, we can ensure every child feels safe, heard, and cherished, just like Lily. We're all in this as one. Let's change everything together." And in the gentle hush that followed, amidst the blending of their voices, murmurs of hope, laughter, and resilience filled the air. The road ahead might still be long, but armed with unity and understanding, each step taken felt lighter than the one before it. As dawn broke after a night of triumph and tears, Jack sensed something stirring in his heart, a new beginning. The community would rise together, every hand extending to the next, crafting a tapestry that would shine as brightly as Ella's laughter and Lily's dream of flying among the stars. And for Jack, the investment he'd begun to make wasn't merely of wealth. It was the gift of connection rooted in love, camaraderie, and the simple act of being truly alive. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep these impactful tales alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. Your voice matters. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait, not even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.